Life in Czech Republic. The country of extremely beautiful women and pristine nature. Documentary. Tucked right into the cozy heart of Europe, the Czech Republic, often affectionately dubbed Czechia by travelers, blends fairy tale vibes with modern convenience like few places can. With a population of around 11 million, it's got just enough people to feel vibrant without the overwhelming chaos of megacities. It's also completely landlocked, bordered by powerhouse neighbors Germany and Austria to the west and south, Slovakia to the southeast, with whom it shared a country until their peaceful split in 1993, and Poland to the north. Despite its modest size, just 78,000 square kilometers, Czechia packs in an impressive variety of landscapes, from rolling hills and deep forests to spa towns and UNESCO-protected villages. But its biggest magnet, Prague, the crown jewel, where medieval architecture, cobbled streets, and castle-topped hills feel like stepping into a storybook. The country's compact footprint means nothing is too far. You can sip coffee in a Prague cafe in the morning and be soaking in a mountain spa by afternoon. Efficient trains and buses stitch it all together, so getting around is a breeze. Whether you're into history, beer, nature, or all three, the Czech Republic is proof that great things really do come in small, scenic packages. Prague, a city of bridges and balance. Perched along the Vltava River, which, fun fact, flows south to north, because Prague doesn't do boring, this city is a living museum with a modern twist. Its skyline is a dramatic blend of storybook Gothic spires and ultramodern glass towers, a visual tug-of-war between the past and the present. On the eastern bank, it's pure action. Old Town pulses with cobbled streets, Baroque buildings, and that fairy tale vibe tourists dream about. Museums spill over with art and history, and the iconic dancing house, looking like it just moonwalked off a dolly canvas, stands boldly on the edge of the river. Cross the bridges westward, and it's a different tempo. Quieter. More lived in. Locals walk dogs, sip coffee in calm cafes, and breathe a little deeper. The city zones, Prague 1, 2, 5, and beyond, are all connected by a metro system that's weirdly honest. No turnstiles, no guards. Just buy your 20 CZK, roughly €1, ticket and ride like a responsible adult. Trains show up every 10 minutes, like clockwork. Trams dominate the streets, sleek, silent, and totally unbothered by cars, which actually yield to them. Forget traffic jams. In Prague, the public transport doesn't just work, it glides. Currency chaos and travel tips. Let's talk money, because nothing ruins a dreamy Prague trip faster than getting scammed at the exchange booth. The Czech Republic uses the Czech koruna, CZK, not the euro. You'll see some places in tourist hotspots accepting euros, sure, but the exchange rate they'll give you? Absolute daylight robbery. Always use CZK to get the best value. Now here's where a lot of first-timers get burned. Those shiny currency exchange counters at the airport? Legal scams with velvet ropes. They flash attractive zero commission signs, but the actual exchange rate is often so bad, you might as well set your cash on fire and call it performance art. And don't even think about Euronet ATMs. These glowing blue machines are all over town, and they'll tempt you with convenience. But behind that cheerful screen, criminally high withdrawal fees, garbage conversion rates, and sneaky fine print that'll drain your bank account faster than you can say, "Na zdraví." Pro tip. Avoid any place advertising "no commission" in flashing neon. That phrase is the tourist equivalent of a bear trap with glitter on it. They'll either give you a horrific rate or hit you with hidden fees after you've already handed over your cash. Also, if someone on the street offers to exchange money, big red flag. That's how you end up with monopoly money and a lesson in street smarts. Instead, head to reputable places like Exchange de CZ or Exchange on Koprova Street, where the rates are fair, transparent, and won't make you cry later. And when it comes to ATMs, use machines connected to actual Czech banks, like Česká spořitelna, Komerční banka, or Saab. Always decline the machine's currency conversion offer and let your bank handle it. You'll usually get a much better rate that way. Oh, and download a currency converter app before you go. A little knowledge goes a long way when someone tries to hand you 500 CZK and call it just €50. In Prague, the architecture might be Gothic, but your wallet doesn't have to suffer a tragedy. Stay sharp, do your math, and you'll outsmart the tourist traps like a seasoned traveler. Weather, wages, and realities. Summer in Prague? Pack layers, babe. Sure, it gets sunny and warm, Those classic Instagrammable cobblestone strolls under a bright blue sky, but don't get too cocky. Even in peak July, the weather can flip on you faster than a moody ex. One minute you're vibing in a tank top, next minute you're dodging a surprise downpour that came out of nowhere like it's on a mission to humble you. Light jackets, a compact umbrella, and shoes that won't cry if they get wet? Non-negotiables. Now let's talk money. The minimum wage in the Czech Republic is around 19,000 CZK per month, which is about 750 euros. Doesn't sound like much? That's because it isn't. But most people aren't on minimum wage. The average salary is closer to 40,000 CZK/month, roughly 1,600 euros. Sounds better, right? Hold that thought. After taxes and social insurance, what actually hits your account is much less. And here's the kicker: rent in Prague can eat you alive. A small, modest flat in the city can easily cost 1,000 euros per month or more. That's half your paycheck gone before you even buy a coffee, pay utilities, or contemplate buying a beer at Letna. So while Prague might have a rep for being cheap, the locals will tell you it's getting pricier by the day. Especially in the city center, affordable is a moving target. But hey, at least public transport is still a steal and the beer is cheaper than water in some places. Priorities, right? Culture check. Czechs are a fascinating blend of polite formality and quiet rebellion. With a 99% literacy rate and over 90% completing secondary school, education is a given, not a flex. You'll often catch people reading actual books while waiting for trams. That's not a quirk, that's culture. Underneath the calm surface, though, there's a bold streak. Tattoos are practically a rite of passage, especially for the under 25 crowd. Expression is everything, and personal freedom rules the day. Weed, decriminalized. Fashion, loud, ironic, and unbothered. And religion, not so much. Over 90% of young Czechs identify as atheists, a lingering echo of the old Soviet-era push against organized religion. But don't mistake that for coldness. Czechs are deep thinkers, private souls, and fiercely independent. They just don't need a priest, a politician, or a dress code telling them how to live. Respect their space, and you'll earn yours. Beyond the brochures. Here's the lowdown on Czechia with all the weird, wonderful, and downright fascinating stuff you won't find in your average tourist guide. First off, let's talk about something that might make you do a double take: the adult film industry. Yeah, it's huge here. Czechia and neighboring Hungary pump out a wild percentage of the world's adult content. So the next time you're casually sipping your espresso at a cafe in Prague, you could be sitting right next to a global star in that industry and never even realize it. It's one of those behind-the-scenes quirks that locals just shrug off, like, oh yeah, that's just part of our economy. Wild, right? Now, moving on to the national obsession that's way more family-friendly: ice hockey. Forget football, soccer, or basketball. Those sports just don't get the same love here. The Czech men's hockey team is basically elite-level legends, carving their name deep in the sport's history with a fierce, no-nonsense style that matches the country's gritty vibe. Hockey games here aren't just matches. They're national events where everyone's emotionally invested, and losing is almost unthinkable. Speaking of brain power, Czechia's brain trust is no joke. Gregor Mendel, the father of genetics, laid down the laws of heredity right here. Then there's Franz Kafka, whose existential dread and surreal stories practically invented modern psychological fiction. Fun fact, the word robot was coined by Czech writer Karel Čapek in a 1920 play. So every time you hear about AI and robots, remember that this tiny country basically gave birth to the concept. Oh, and if you've ever worn contact lenses, guess what? They were invented by a Czech guy, Otto Wichterl. Science and art. Czechia's got you covered. Here's a quirky flex you can drop on your friends. Prague's Malá Strana district hosts the narrowest street in the world. It's a staggering 48 centimeters wide. Yeah, less than half a meter, and so tight that it actually needs a traffic light to control the foot traffic. Imagine having to wait your turn just to squeeze through a street. Talk about a tight squeeze, literally. Finally, let's talk about the Jewish quarter, József, in Prague. It's Europe's largest preserved Jewish neighborhood, and it carries a haunting history. Remarkably, it was left mostly untouched during World War II, not because of kindness, but because Hitler planned to create a museum of an extinct race after wiping out the Jewish population. Chilling, right? Today, it stands as a powerful monument full of synagogues, cemeteries, and stories that reflect resilience and memory. Walking through there feels like stepping into layers of time, both beautiful and painful. So yeah, Czechia is this wild mashup of deep history, oddball facts, cultural pride, and surprisingly modern contributions. You get everything, from narrow streets with traffic lights for pedestrians to legendary ice hockey matches, world-changing science, and a gritty film industry hidden in plain sight. If you think you've got this country figured out after a postcard or two, think again. It's a paradox wrapped in a trdelník, the famous Czech pastry. Sweet, layered, and worth savoring slowly. Mushrooms, cars, and clean streets. Czechs take their mushrooms seriously, like sacred ritual seriously. Foraging is basically a national sport, and every autumn the forests fill with families hunting down chanterelles, porcini, and other fungi treasures. On average, a Czech household collects about 8 kilos of mushrooms per year. No joke. It's less about saving money and more about tradition, nature, and flexing those mycology skills. But their obsession with order doesn't stop in the woods. Step into any Czech city and you'll notice it. Clean streets, tidy sidewalks, and barely a speck of trash. Even the little alleyways are pristine. It's not magic, it's cultural pride. People just don't litter, and the city services are on point. And while the world may know the Czech Republic for a vast antivirus, locals are way more hyped about Skoda cars, a homegrown brand that actually gets love. You'll see Skodas everywhere, from compact city rides to family-friendly wagons. They're kind of a national icon, proof that Czech engineering holds its own. There's a quiet confidence here, no over-the-top nationalism, just a deep appreciation for homegrown quality, whether it's on your plate or under your hood. Want more wild, weird, and wonderful deep dives into places like Czechia? Hit that subscribe button and join the crew who gets the real stories behind the postcards. No fluff, just the juicy stuff you actually want to know. From secret street legends to cultural quirks and untold histories, let's explore the world one unexpected fact at a time. Subscribe now and turn your travel daydreams into mind-blowing, scroll-stopping adventures.